All right, today we're going to be digging into a Grizzly 700, and this four-wheeler, both axles on the rear are bad. I've done separate videos on how to rebuild those axles, how to replace the boots and the joints. Make sure you check those videos out on our channel. The other thing that I've done is a complete service of this four-wheeler. I've replaced wheel bearings and showed you how to do that. I've got a video coming out on the stator magneto. We're going to go ahead and replace that, as well as that gasket on that side, which would also include draining the coolant, servicing your four-wheeler. So make sure you check those videos out on our channel. But today, to get started, we're gonna do both rear axles on here. Both joints are knocking pretty bad. Rather than replacing the boot and the joint, we're just gonna go ahead and replace the axle. Sometimes it makes sense to do that, sometimes it doesn't. If you've got the time and the know-how, replacing that boot's a cheaper option. Because the high quality, good quality axles are going to be a little pricey. You can get some knockoff stuff, and I can list a couple of those down below in the comments. Axles that I wouldn't suggest using. I'll also give you a couple of links to axles that are high quality aftermarket axles, rather than going back with OEM, which is absolutely a great axle. The thing is, you're going to pay $400 or $500 per axle for the OEM ones. So check those links below. We're going to direct you to a couple good high quality ones. We're going to show you a couple ones that I would stay away from. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go through this quick here because it's pretty easy to remove the wheels. So we're just going to pull these wheels and tires off. 17mm lug nuts on here, 4 on each wheel. We'll get those pulled off. All right, we got the wheels off. At this point, I'm gonna move you in a little bit closer so you can see a little more detail of what's going on here. We're gonna be working on the left side first, and exact same setup on the right side, but I'm just gonna give you the details on the left side. So I'm gonna zoom you in here, that way you can see what's going on. All right, we're gonna go ahead and pull these dust cover caps off. They look like that there. They just actually pull off, and then we've got a nut here that we're gonna remove. Okay, we've got an 1 1/16 nut here. That's gonna pull this hub off. And then we're gonna need to pull this caliper before this hub will actually slip completely off. That 1 1/16 nut is off. And then we've got 2 12mm bolts to remove this caliper. You can do that a couple different ways. If you've got a good swivel, impact swivel, you can do that. You can put a socket and ratchet on there, or you can use a wrench. We might go with the wrench route. We're gonna use a ratchet wrench. They're not in a great spot for a wrench. It might make more sense to use a deep socket with an extension on there. We've done a separate video on replacing brake pads on this machine. Make sure you check those out. That second bolt off of there, it's a 12mm head bolt. Now we're able to just take and set that caliper up. And you want to make sure that nobody squeezes those brakes. Now that you have that caliper off of the disc, that's going to create some problems. Now we're able to take and slide that hub off of there. Again, I've done a separate video on replacing the wheel bearings on here, so make sure you check that out. We've got 17mm nut on here. That's going to pull this knuckle off of this these A-arms. 14mm bolt running through there. Same on the bottom, 17 nut, 14 bolt. We got a washer on the back side, top and bottom. Now we're able to just take and slide those out. That bolt is out. Now we can take and slide that axle out. Sometimes, if these axles are have been on for a while, the bearing will actually stick onto the axle a little bit. But that's not the case here. Now we're gonna kind of set everything aside. And now what you're gonna wanna do is, I like to take and lift up on this as much as possible. If it doesn't stay, you can take a bungee strap and bungee strap it up, because what you're wanting to do is pull that axle straight out. If you're not able to pull it straight out and it's binding in there, if I'm kind of pulling it down, it's not gonna slide out like it should. It's got a snap ring that'll actually hold that axle into place. And without getting that centered, if you're putting some pressure down or up or sideways, it's not going to center that clip, and it's going to be hard to pull out of there, and you could potentially damage some seals. So I'm going to go ahead and bungee strap this up, and then we'll go ahead and pull that axle out. All right, we've got that pulled up there. You can see now we're able to take and get that axle up here more to the center, and then we're able to just take and pull it out. So it takes a couple pulls typically. If it's not coming within a couple pulls, you might spin it if you can spin that rear axle. Again, we're trying to center that clip to be able to pull that axle out of there. Most of the Yamahas actually are fairly easy to pull out. If you get into some of the Polarises where they don't have as good of a seal in that rear differential or the front differential, it can be quite a challenge to get those axles out. But typically these are fairly easy. You can see there that clip just centers is what it does, smashes down and pulls out. And then when you slide that axle back in, that clip just kind of springs out again, holding that axle into place. All right, we've got your new axle ready to slide in there. I'm going to take and inspect that seal, make sure it's in good condition, make sure it's not folded over or anything else. Again, these are high quality aftermarket axles. I can get you information on those, and in fact, I will get you those in the comment section below or in the description. What I don't want you to do is end up getting some cheapo axle and run into issues 2 weeks later because of either a spline issue, and then you could end up damaging more parts in this rear differential, or same way with the outside or the outer joint here. If you get a cheapo axle, those splines wear down, you end up damaging hubs and stuff like that a whole lot quicker. So make sure you've got a good high quality axle before going back together. We're gonna take and slide that in. You can take at this point, and a lot of times you may end up needing a rubber mallet to tap on the end, but most of the time I would say you can actually just take, and as long as you have it centered, a lot of times just using your hand will slide it into place. You do have to make sure you wiggle around just a little bit, let everything kind of center, that clip to center, and then take and slide that in. So that's putting that axle in. Now we're able to just take and slide our hub back on. Oops, we lost a bushing there. We'll stick that bushing in place. Again, it wasn't that long ago we replaced wheel bearings, so all these parts we know are in good shape. I'm gonna take and loosen up our strap. That way our upper A-arm will fall into place. Our hub will then be allowed to drop down into the A-arm. We're gonna slide our caliper out of the way so we're not fighting that. You can put either the top or the bottom on. Whichever one you wanna do first is fine. Gotta wiggle this axle through those bearings, and that's a good thing, because if it just slid right in, that probably means your bearing's shot or you've got other issues. Make sure there's no dirt or anything on here. Again, if I hadn't have just replaced brake pads on here, I would have greased this bolt up, but everything's in good condition still. Slide that bolt through. Get another bushing pop off. Slide that hub into place. And again, remember we've got washers on both of these. And then our 17mm nuts. Got our caliper, but first, before the caliper, we need to put our hub on. Slide that in. The axles that I'm gonna recommend here come with a new nut, and these will be torqued on. This one now is 1 3/16 inches, so it's a larger nut. That nut is on. Okay, now the axle actually has an area where you can take this nut, you can put a little ding in it. That just keeps your axle from spinning off of there. And again, we wouldn't have had to put the Loctite on there because of this. This is exactly what this is made for. And you don't want to go Hulk mode on there, and the reason is because when you got to pull that off of there, you don't want so much splines and so much area damage that you can't spin that nut off. So now we're able to take and put our caliper back into place. And we've got our 2 bolts that we're gonna slide in. I'm gonna clean some of this area out. This whole four-wheeler is completely caked with dirt. Pretty typical in our area. All right, caliper is on there. We've got our dust cap cover. I'm gonna slide into place. So that is replacing the axle on a Yamaha Grizzly 700. If you got questions or comments, make sure and leave that in the comment section below. I appreciate any feedback from you guys so we know what to do better or different next time to help you guys understand how to repair and fix your own four-wheelers. Thanks for watching.